Hello, my baby. Hello, sweetheart. Okay, so um, welcome to episode 4, Church of God in Kalila, part 2. Um, Today is February 6th, 2025. It's been a while since I recorded that last episode. So much has happened, so much is happening. Right now, I'm feeling I'm feeling many things, right? A part of me is feeling very nervous because I've never articulated my beliefs this thoroughly. Um, and that's because I've had my own judgments around what I think people will feel and think and judge me on. And um, it causes me to have my own, like, opinions about my beliefs. And I think it has to do with how I was raised and what I was believing. So this is about my transition into what I currently believe. And even though my core beliefs haven't changed, like my core beliefs, my awareness of how God is present in my life is always changing, always shifting, always as I get more and more aware, more and more, as I consume more, as I learn more, as I experience more, as I grow, so does my awareness of God, so does my closeness to Him. And this distinction is important because I'm still working through my own thoughts and my own past judgments. So it feels like, kind of like, almost like, before, I used to feel like when people be like, "What do you believe? Do you believe?" It's usually like this flat out, boom. But I'm a person that's always learning new stuff. So even my awareness of even my, like, interpretation of these old familiar principles like faith and trust and love and integrity, even though the actual principles are the same, like it's like being a good person, it's like God is watching you, with you currently, it just doesn't look the way I it looked 5 years ago or 10 years ago or 20 or boom. So I think that's why I'm like, right now, because hopefully by the time you are listening to this, my darling, my views and my beliefs have even have grown, even then have, like, expounded. So there's that. In order for me to feel like I'm staying on progress, because remember, doing this is scary. Being on my podcast by myself without my homegirls, and it being so close to my heart, my spirituality, which is the most private, personal, but also like not private, because I do be talking about God, but it just feels so close. So I'm going to ask myself questions and then answer in that way so that I can stay on task and feel like I'm getting my point across. Also, just a sidebar, I think I mentioned this about the Chiron. I think I mentioned this, but my Chiron is in Gemini, my wound. So I work through feeling like I won't be understood. And so that's also a part of this. I'm like, oh my God, they going to judge me. They going to feel like I'm not saying the right thing. They don't, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? Versus it being something that is like, I'm talking about acting where I'm standing 10 toes. All right. So that's so just bear with me. Let's just y'all, just have some grace as I talk myself through. But also, like, I know what I'm talking about because I've lived my life like this. So boom. Question number 1. What do you believe and why and how? So, okay, so this feels a little bit challenging to summarize because I was raised to be able to articulate beliefs in the context of religion. And that's usually it's a very black and white. It's giving, do you believe in Jesus or not? And if you don't believe in Jesus, you are going to hell. And if it's like, do you believe in God? Do you believe in this? If you don't, if you believe in something else, it is clipped. You are false. Like, that is what I was taught. And I'm so far away from that belief that when I try to put my beliefs in like this one like tone, the straight tone, it doesn't fit. It doesn't match. So before I get into what I believe in, which is very, is important, I want to explain to you why I believe what I believe. Okay, so I told you last episode that there was a large period of my life where I was not in church. I was not in church. I was not reading no Bible. I was not talking about scripture. I was not doing anything that was connected to religion or structured spirituality. Nothing. There was a little dabs here and there, but it was not consistent. But even though I separated, quote unquote, even though I was separated from God, I never separated from achieving. I've always been an achiever. I've always been someone who says that I want to do something and works towards doing it. And 9 times out of 10, if I stick to it long enough, it's going to work out. And that has been how I've lived my life. And it's also been, I've lived my life at a higher level than average, I would say. Like, just for example, like I was from young, from young, I was pulled out into the exceptionally gifted program. I then was the only person chosen to go to my high school out of my middle school, even though I wasn't in any of the band or the chorus in that school. I got chosen to go to a specialized high school. Then after that, I also worked professionally, did commercials. I went away to college and excelled in the theater department there. I booked a lead in the show my first semester in the department for real. Consistently was in shows. Then I also performed in shows in North Carolina. I booked an overseas gig 3 months after graduating. I've been excelling. I've traveled to over 36 countries. I've maintained friendships and relationships with people with like over 20-year relationships. I've had wonderful love affairs, experienced really extraordinary things as it relates to men. I mean, I don't want to, it's just extraordinary. I've been gifted cars and thousands of dollars. I've had really, really grand gestures. I've had some really exceptional life experiences because I'm after that. Like, that's my point. That's the goal. Like, I'm here on earth to win and to achieve. And I've always understood that, whether I was kind of working with God or not, or so I thought. Because when you're not in church, you be thinking that you're not connected to God. And little do I know that was absolutely not the case. But anyway, I'm just trying to paint the picture. I never separated from achieving. So even when I wasn't in church, I was always reading or taking courses or like doing personality quizzes or just things to figure out, what is the next step for me to achieve the things that I want. And also, like, the way that I'm finding that out is by looking at other people. Like, I really love using what works for others and then applying it with my own sauce. So one of my homegirls told me about this program, Momentum Education, that I took in 2014. I invested thousands of dollars in personal development even back then. and reading tons of books, going to seminars. And what I learned through that was that the one thing that mattered was your mind and your mindset and your beliefs. So after understanding that the biggest, most important thing to win in life is what you believe, I had to start paying more attention to my belief systems and my habitual thoughts. So I want to say that. And then even one step further, I learned that our current circumstances were a result of past beliefs. So once I realized I could change my circumstances by changing my belief system, I started crafting a belief system that would support my future life. And I'll say it like this: like before, I feel like when I was growing up, it was like beliefs and facts and opinions kind of merged together. Like it was like a fact is a fact, and the truth is the truth, and false stuff is false stuff. And it gave very, very black and white. But then I started thinking and learning about perspectives and learning that, like, oh, okay, just because something happens to you doesn't determine your reaction. Did that even make sense? Like the event or the catastrophe does not determine how you deal with it. In fact, how you deal with it determines what happens next in your life. It's not the catastrophe that's happening that determines what happens next. So like they use this example in the personal development program that I was talking about, Momentum. And it was like think about two different moms who lost their son to drunk driving. Like somebody killed their son by drunk driving. One mother made the choice to feel rightfully victimized and angry and all of those horrible feelings. And then the other mother decided to create a company organization called MAD, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and she actually has prevented more drunk drivers, changed policies, and it's like the same instance, the same impotence, the same cause happened, but it was a different effect, and that had to do with the choice of the person. And this information was very empowering to me because as a Black woman, sometimes it can feel very much underdog, damned if you do, because a lot of the emphasis of the Black experience is on what we don't have, what I don't have, what I'm not experiencing. At least that's how I was raised. But when I learned about shifting and about it's actually in my brain, like, oh, okay, so if I interpret this information healthily, anything that I ingest rather, can be used positively. Oh, it's lit. So I wanted to start there because I wanted to say, after I learned that I needed to create a belief system, a spiritual belief system that also supported my betterment and my joy and my achieving. So that's where I wanted to say that. So my initial thoughts, my initial foray into spirituality was through the law of attraction. And that happened when I was touring on a cruise ship, and I was introduced to The Secret movie by one of my castmates. Lovely British girl. We bonded, and she showed me about the law of attraction. And the law of attraction is not a new concept. In fact, it's all throughout most of the reputable older religions. It's just the idea that what you put out thoughts wise is what you're going to get back reality wise, like period. Like what you think is what will come. That's the basis. And with that understanding that law, you can now manipulate or use the law in order to create a life that you love. Because once you realize, oh, arbitrary things don't just happen to me, this is a through line of thoughts and habitual things. Now, a lot of these thoughts are not things that we thought initially. Like it may be thoughts and behaviors that we saw from our family, from the media, from even experience, because those are things that we've thought before. But once I realized that the physical, like what is actually happening, is the last stage of the creative process and the thoughts are the first, it gave me a more empowered space to connect with God and to be like, oh, okay, so wait, what's going on here? Right? Okay, so I just wanted to give you that background to understand what thought process I was looking through when I started reconvening with God, and being like, okay, how is this going to work for me? How is my religion going to work for me? How is my beliefs going to work for me? So now back to what I believe. So I believe that we live in an attraction-based universe. That Earth, where we are right now, is based on attraction. I believe that we are made up of God energy and flesh energy. I believe that I create my reality with the assistance of God within me. I believe that God uses my emotions as guidance to lead me down my most unique paths of allowance. I also believe that my unique gifts contribute to the mission of God. So that's the reason why it's almost like I create my own reality, but I'm creating it based off of my God-given gifts. And my God-given gifts reference the mission. It references what my purpose is. And so it's my job to use my gifts alongside with God as my guidance system to keep me on the mission of contribution on earth. I also believe that all things are working for my good. Like I believe that life is rigged I believe that life is rigged in my favor. It's rigged in God's favor. It's rigged in love's favor. I believe that people are good naturally with good intentions. I believe that when people do bad things, quote unquote, and I'm putting that in because when you say good and bad, it simplifies. It simplifies choices. And I think that when you simplify things, sometimes you lose the nuance of grace. You lose the nuance of flexibility. And energy is way too flexible for us to anyway, don't Khalila, don't. I just get so excited talking about this stuff. I can go down mad paths. So sorry. But I believe that when people do things that are not in alignment with their good and their good energy, that they're operating in a disconnected place. Like it's almost like kind of similar to like with the devil and the angel on your shoulder, and it's like we all have that choice, that conscience, that choice. It You making that bad choice is not you being a bad person. It's you choosing to follow the path that is against the good, that is, anti-good. So that's my basis of belief system. The other thing that I believe, that I feel like is a little different from the past, or like what I used to believe, is that when we're talking about the spiritual and the physical, there's usually an emphasis on the spiritual versus the physical, like kind of like the spiritual is a hierarchy, and then the physical is like the flesh. Like your flesh is sin. We should all aspire to be more spiritual. We should all aspire to not need the physical. We should all aspire to be, just kind of meditating, praying all the time, keeping our head down and doing our thing on the low spiritually, but don't be focused so much on the physical. I feel like that was kind of how I was taught. But what I now understand is that the spiritual and the physical is connected. It's actually a cycle. The spiritual is the beginning, and in this realm, the physical is the end. So thoughts create things. Thoughts turn into things. A thought is the same. Like, so for example, me thinking about a joyful experience with your father, right? Because we ain't met him yet, but let me think about him since we talking about you. Let me thinking about a joyful experience with your father. Let's say the first time he told me that he was madly in love with me. And right now it hasn't happened, but I'm thinking about it. And when I'm thinking about this beautiful, intelligent, connected, compatible man, it's bringing me feelings of excitement. It's bringing me feelings of joy. It's bringing me feelings of sensuality. Those feelings connected with that thought is the beginning of the creative process. The spiritual, the energy is the beginning of the creative process. Once he comes into physical realm, back up, Kalila. So if the thought is the beginning, right? The way the process continues to go is I continue to think those things. I continue to know that this man is coming, that I'm going to I'm going to bump into him. I'm going to connect to him. I continue feeling those feelings of excitement and joy as I'm dating, as I'm sifting. I continue to feel those feelings of sensuality as I'm planning, as I'm gathering, and then more and more momentum around the energy. Because think about it, emotions is literally energy in motion. So your emotions are indicators letting you know how close you are to whatever's next, whatever's coming next, because we're always creating. We're always thinking. We're always putting energy behind things, even if you're putting energy behind being low key, or even if you're putting energy behind being calm, cool, and collected, even if you're putting energy behind being stagnant, being out of the way, you're still creating. So as we're creating, thinking about it, we're collecting more evidence, we're attracting more things that connect to that. Eventually, the manifestation presents itself. That's how everything works in life. That's literally the creative process. You think about it, you gather thoughts, lead to the emotions about it. Those emotions lead to the way you act about it, and those actions determine the results that come. So once I learned that the physical is not our enemy, I'm not actually here to sit and be quiet and not enjoy life until I get to heaven, and then I'm promised this big mansion in this gold-ridden road. When I realize that my power with God is in this realm, in this area that we both agreed that he allowed me to come into. Because the other thing that I believe in is that this place is a privilege. People, and I'm talking about people, I mean souls. I fully, and these beliefs come from different things that I've read, different alongside my own intuition and my own inner knowing. But I believe that the whole point of this, like if we're talking about, oh, life is a simulation, or maybe life is a video game, or like life is that we figure out how to be happy here. We figure out what is necessary given our gifts, given our setbacks. Let's say that, because we all are given gifts and we're all given cards. We're all given cards that are maybe we wouldn't consider gifts. We figure out how to use those alongside to contribute to the mission. And the mission here on this planet is to make the world better. It's to continue to create. It's to continue to expand. It's continue to see problems and solve them. Like, that's the whole point. So I know that I came down here. He gave me these gifts. And the point is to create. So knowing that all of this physical stuff, I'm looking at this computer right here. This computer was a dream. This initially, we didn't have handheld computers, but people were thinking about ways to make lives easier, to connect each other to the world, to solve problems. Same way with like airplanes. There was a point in time where we was using trains and buses, and they were like, how can we get to places faster? How can people, not die when there's an emergency? How can we fly them? They were solving problems. That's the whole point of being here. Like, that's the entire point, is to use we came here with gifts and missions, and the mission is to add, and that's the point. And so I've learned that the physical manifestations in life are just as important as the thoughts, as the beliefs, as the relationship with God. Kind of similar to like what they used to say in Christianity, which is like, you should be able to look at a Christian and know there's a Christian. And it shouldn't just be because they skirts is down to the ground and they not wearing makeup. Like, there should be, if you're connected to God energy, if you are using the creative process, meaning doing what you need to do, staying connected, understanding, I don't want to say it like that, but understanding the rules, you should be able to see it in your life. Now, what are the rules? The rules are that whatever feelings you predominantly feel will create your reality. So if once we find ourselves understanding how our feelings relate to our lives, our job and the rule is to manage that. And most of the time, the way to manage those feelings is to lean on the supernatural, because what happens is we get caught up, because we're living in a physical realm, we get caught up in looking at our reality and judging our life based off of the physical. And remember, the physical is the end result. So anything that we're looking at right now in real life is actually the energetic or vibrational past, right? Like, so the physical present is the energetic past. And what often happens is we look at our present and we're like, oh my God, I'm so fat. I'm just so fat. I'm going to keep being fat. And it's like, you saying that you're going to keep being fat is actually just sending more messages, more magnetism for you to be fat in the future. You don't have to continue to be fat just because you're fat right now, or just because you've been fat. Like, same with money, but it's hard because we live in a physical space. And I also think and firmly believe that one of the deals when you come down here on earth is that we also don't remember. Like, children remember. Children understand that the point of life is joy. That's why they want to play all the time. That's why they follow their instincts. That's why they don't, they're not really assimilating to all of these rules that are arbitrary. They realize that each individual should be the authority on their life, and it shouldn't be coming from an outside space. They know that. But as we grow up, as we evolve, because we live in an interdependent society, and because in this society it has been beneficial to set down rules, we forget about that inner knowing and our inner power. And my spiritual journey has connected me back to that. So by meditating every day, by doing gratitude every day, I've been doing gratitude and meditation every day since 2020. I've been able to get more clear on the guidance system. So let me step back. Oh my God, how long is this? Okay, it's fine. We almost there. It's fine. Y'all with me. So let me go back. When understanding that the key to winning here is managing and understanding the guidance. Understand when you are getting, when going down one road is godly, is to the next level of God, or is the opposite direction, whether you're picking the angel or the devil, essentially. Like, let me just go back to that. The way we have to know that, or the way we get to know that, is by becoming more in tuned with our emotions, because of the fact that we in this society, our brains going, millions of miles a minute. We have so much things that we're observing. Also the way the brain works, like the brain, a lot of the thoughts that we have are actually habits. Like our brain will usually observe something and then create habits, habitual thoughts about that thing that you observe. And every time you observe it, you're pretty much going to have those same thoughts, right? Like that's just the way it works. So 9 times out of 10, if you're observing something that's negative, you're going to have negative thoughts. And the way negative thoughts work is that like you think one thing, and then the next thought that you have is either going to be on the same level emotionally, or a little bit down, or a little bit above. Like that's just how the thoughts work. Like you think you may, so for example, you may be like, I'm a little hungry. So maybe the next thought would be like, dag, I should have ate earlier. I shouldn't be hungry. Or maybe the thought would be, oh, okay, I'm surprised. Like I thought what I ate earlier was, sufficient enough. Even though one thought was kind of like blamey and one thought was a little more hopeful, they were both in the same realm. That's how all the thoughts and beliefs work. You're when you think one thing, the next thing that you're thinking is going to be on a similar vibrational energy as the thought, which is why it's important to monitor and what we're thinking and what you're ingesting, specifically on social media, on the media, because whatever we're ingesting, the way our brains work is it's immediate. It's an immediate. Sometimes you can't even catch it, and then you don't even know why you're sad because you've looked at something that has sad undertones, and then it has triggered a sad thought in your brain that went by so fast, So I want to say all that to say the reason why meditation works, and the meditation that I do, is about silencing your mind. First, it's about when you wake up, understanding and identifying how we feel. And in the beginning, it may be simple. Like it may be like, I feel happy. Or I feel like over it. But then as you meditate regularly, you're then able to distinguish more refined emotions. Like, oh, I'm feeling a little hopeful. I'm feeling a little bit curious. Feeling a little doubtful. And the reason that's important is because our emotions are our guidance system to know how we should move. And what I mean by should is there's always a goal, right? We always want, we want joy. We want happiness. We want to feel good. That's the bottom line. Everything that we're doing is being done in order for us to feel better. Even if you have been, say, victimized and you want to go stab somebody, you want to go execute revenge on them. You're choosing to do that because you're hoping that in executing that revenge, you're going to feel better. So every single thing is around feeling better. So even when we are in these tumultuous places, it's very important for us to be able to distinguish whether we're moving up the emotional scale towards joy and towards happiness, or down the emotional scale towards despair and depression. And when even when we get into these very, very low places, once you are refined enough in your intuition and in your ability to identify your emotions, it's a lot easier to navigate and to be like, okay, well, at least I went up one notch. So like, for example, speaking of that revenge option, in some instances, now, this, and I might get canceled, but in some instances, revenge or feelings of revenge, I don't know, I'm not talking about exacting on them, but feelings of revenge is indicators that you're moving closer to God. Listen, let me explain. If you guys can Google like an emotional scale or the emotional scale or the emotional spectrum, you'll understand that the bottom, bottom lower kind of feelings, even though they're on the bottom, those feelings are still ranked. So for example, despair is a lower vibrational frequency than revenge and anger. And the reason why one is lower than the other, is because when you're in this feeling of despair or hopelessness, that's when you are usually frozen. You're stuck. You can't move. When you are in a feeling of revenge, you've now identified what happened, and now you're feeling more action ready towards them. So you've moved up the scale. So for example, if you are working through with God, who for me is very present in my emotional guidance system, as I'm working through things, I'm going to be notating where I'm at. So say, for example, in the beginning of the week, I may feel like, oh my God, what happened? What's going on? The world is over. Like, why is this stuff happening to me? In those moments, I'm feeling hopelessness. I'm feeling despair. I'm feeling like a victim. I'm feeling all is against me. But I continue meditating. I continue pointing out what is going right in my life. With me pointing out what is going right in my life, specifically at the top of the day when my, when you come out of that REM state and you're not influenced by things that have happened in your environment and you're kind of like at a neutral, it's easier to push yourself up a little bit up the emotional scale by using gratitude, which is what I've done. Remember, my process is only for me to win. I understand that I cannot win in life if I continue to have cycles of despair and depression and hopelessness. And I realize that that is an indicator of my mind. So I have to train and condition my mind to get past that. So, for example, like I said, if I'm having those feelings of despair, I meditate, I point out what's good in my life. And sometimes what's good in my life is I woke up today. There's a lot of people that did not wake up today. Excuse me if this is it, baby girl and baby boy. My joy is I move my bowels. So today I move my bowels. I used to, and this is real life. Like I used to not be able to move my bowels very well. Like I used to have a lot of sickly stuff, and I remember not moving my bowels for like 3 days straight. Like it would be like I would move it like once every 3 days. So now I'm very, very grateful for my regular bowel movements. Like that's something that I bring gratitude for. So I'm saying there's certain times, even when you're in despair, you can find something. I'm grateful that I have eyesight. I'm grateful that I have, so we'll do those things. I'll go up the emotional scale, then I'll tap back in with whatever I'm dealing with. And then I'm realizing, okay, I'm no longer feeling hopeless. Right now I'm feeling like I want to beat your ass. That's actually, I've moved up. I've moved closer. Now that's not to say that I'm going to go beat this person's ass. That's to say that I can look at it and say, oh wow, okay, I am feeling better. I am doing the right thing. I am moving closer. This momentum is working. And then hopefully I can move past revenge and be like, okay, maybe I know that revenge is going to turn around and look back on me. So I'm not even going to, I don't feel vengeful right now. I just feel pissed off. I feel pissed off. Then maybe a few days later, it's like, okay, now it's more disappointment, and then so on until I'm not in that horrible space where I'm attracting more and more things like that. So that's kind of like the system that I've created my whole spirituality around. And what I've done is collected the evidence in my life. Like I've seen in all aspects of my life, friend, career, money, travel, love, community. I've seen my thoughts turn into things. I've seen myself shift my reality even in the same place. I actually have that actually happened with The Lion King, where I was in the same space with two different mindsets and two completely different outcomes because of how I was managing it. So I experienced The Lion King before meditation because I didn't start meditating all of that until 2020. And then when I came back after that, I had a completely different experience with The Lion King. Before meditation, I was a swing. I was very anti, like, I felt so personally attacked by the fact that I was not Nala and that I did not have the cover, and that I felt so attacked. I could barely be in that space. After the pandemic, I did the work and I literally gained the Nala cover. So in such a way that it's actually never happened before, like made history, because nobody typically gains a cover when they're not with the company. Like I wasn't even with the company full time, and I was like, nah, y'all need to give this to me. And they did. And it blew up so much so that I was the face on a national commercial, like a SAG commercial, because of this work that I was doing to purposefully raise my vibrations, because I was listening to my guidance, listening to God as to how to navigate these feelings. Okay. I feel like I got that off a little bit. What am I keeping and what am I leaving? So the idea that God is always watching, that God is always with me, I am keeping that. I was raised to believe that. I'm keeping that. The difference is that I feel like I was raised to believe that God was like in the sky looking down, and then you had to do certain things for him to kind of pay a little bit more attention to you. So whether that means you got to pray or sing a song or like call or get on your knee, like, whereas now God is always with me because a part of me is God. A part of me is that source energy. There's parts of me that isn't that source energy. That's why I need to know how to tap into it and to know what it is. But there's a part of me that is source energy, that intuition that's saying, God, that's literally God guiding our shoulders. Like, wrong. So I'm definitely keeping that. What am I leaving is this kind of, I feel like religion is very much zero no higher. Like, and for all of y'all that know, zero no higher, when you used to double dutch in the playground, you would call numbers in order to know who goes first, who jumps first. And 9 times out of 10, you want to jump first. You don't want to turn first. So when you call numbers, sometimes you be like 1, sometimes you be like 0. If somebody says 0, another person could be like -1, -2. So the phrase zero no higher became a phrase. So you'd be like zero no higher, meaning like it's just me, nobody else. And I feel like that is the energy that most, at least I was raised in. C.O.G Christianity is very much Jesus is it. No higher, no equivalent. It's clipped. If you don't believe in Jesus, you are a heathen and you are going to hell. And in fact, it's my duty to tell you that, because you're going to hell. Like that is, it gives zero no higher. I don't believe in that. I believe that Jesus is a lane. It's a language. It's a way to get to a very, 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 crisp way to get to God. But there's many ways to get to God. You can get to God through nature. You can get to God through science. You can get to God through Buddhism, the Nation of Islam. You can get to God through a combination, which is what I do. So let me go off on the sides. Personally, I choose whatever language I feel like using in order to talk to God that day. When I be on my cycle sometimes and I want to feel comforted and I want to feel more nostalgic, I'm writing and praying in the traditional Christian sense. I'm talking to Jesus. I'm playing my gospel because I want to feel those feelings of nostalgia. I want to hear my maternal grandmother. When I'm feeling very esoteric and I'm like in my brain, and I'm like, oh my God, like dreaming and thinking about what should I do, and what's my next thing, and how's your father gonna look, and oh my God, our babies are gonna be like that. I go to astrology. And astrology for me is really good because it is a snapshot. The way I look at it is like through my birth chart, which is basically how a snapshot of the sky when you were born. To me, knowing that's a finite thing. It's very finite. It's only one snapshot of one sky when I was born. It's only no chart is the same. No biological chart is the same. So there's so many clues into how God is throughout my life, which we'll discuss later on in this when I go through astrology. Sometimes I talk to God like that. Sometimes I talk to God through my friends. I'm like, okay, I'm battling through this right now. Like, for example, it'd be like, I need some, like I told God the other day, like, I know that my point here is to have faith and believe. So what I'm doing is believing. I don't want you to fix this. I don't want you to fix this problem that I'm calling out. What I need from you, God, is for you to send a sign that you're with me. Like, that's what I told him. I was like, I need you to send some signs that I can see that you're walking alongside me, that you haven't left me. And what do? What happens? I get a text from one of my homies that I haven't spoken to in years. And she talks about how she had a dream about me. And even though the dream wasn't necessarily exact, it wasn't indicative of what was happening in my life, the message was, which was that God is with you. You are not alone. You are loved. You are worthy. Everything is working out for you. Don't get confused. She texted me that the next day. That is God. I literally asked for that and I got that. That to me is a connection. That's another language that I talk to God. So I'm leaving this idea that it's mono, that you can only get to God through religion. That's clipped. Next question. Okay, so this is about a moment of gratitude, and I wanted to just talk about how grateful I am for this time and space that I live in. Like, I do believe in reincarnation. I believe in reincarnation. I believe that we kind of recycle souls, in that we come here based off of what we can contribute in that time and space. And I'm just happy that I'm here in 2025. I'm really grateful that I'm a millennial. I think that being a millennial suits my personality. Like, I'm a person that's an achiever. I'm not only an achiever, but I like stuff to be interesting. Like, life, being a millennial has been the most interesting generation. Like, look at what we've experienced, so much. And I'm like, yeah, if I was back in the day, no shade, no tea, all we was doing was like, just a simpler time. Let me not talk stuff about the past. I'm just grateful that I'm here. I'm grateful for the expansion. I'm grateful for, even though it's a lot of rigmarole. But like, if we're only here for 100 years, like, get it in. Let's have a great game. If this is really a simulation, if this is really the game of life, let's see how we could take it. Where we going? Let's see what we can create, what we can do, how blessed we can do, how we can use the laws to create what we want and then leave. Like, that's how I feel. So I feel very blessed that this is the time that I came here. And then the next question is what I want to raise you to believe. I really want you to believe that God is always with you. I want you to develop your spiritual gifts, because we all have our own distinct connectors to God. Some of us connect to God through creative endeavors. Some of us connect to God, in our head or while we're writing. Some of us connect through God by things that we see. Like some people will see things. So I want to start you out as a kid, not only walking you through your your math and your reading and your interpersonal skills and your creative skills, but your spiritual skills. We're going to be meditating daily in our household. We're going to be reading and learning about different religious backgrounds and stories the same way I was learning about biblical stories. Like, I want you to be equally excited about the spiritual realm as you are about the physical, so that you understand how they work in tandem, and so that you're set up to win, baby. Because the mommy is giving you all the tools. I'm not playing. We not playing. So I want you to have a very, very loving and close relationship with God. And I would love if you also were, if it's not polyglot, I know polyglot is different languages, but I'll say it like that. I want you to also be well equipped. Like, I want to send you to your aunt's church in Charlotte, and I want to send you to, I want you to be able to experience God and see God all over the place. Like me. Wow. Okay. That wasn't as bad as I thought. I do feel like I'm going to have to come back to this, because I feel like I have so many thoughts and I don't know if I said all of them, but I do feel good about explaining. I feel good. So thank you for listening. Now we're going to move into our next section, which is the 36 questions to make you fall in love. And the next question is, what would constitute a perfect day for me? Okay. A perfect day for me is a day where I wake up rested, clear about what is on the agenda for the day. I am greeted with love, whether that be kisses from your father, or hearing my mom singing in the morning in the other room because she wakes up and listens to her devotion, or whether that's Bronxy nudging me because he done stretched real good in the sheets. I want to be greeted by love, or by I want to also have a progressive day. Your mom really loves to evolve and to win. So checklists bring me joy. Even if on that perfect day, that checklist was like my morning routine, like yoga, gratitude, meditation, a great meal. I want it to feel like I've progressed. Maybe I went to set that day and I had a wonderful shift at work, creating a character. Maybe I coached clients that day. Maybe I was planning my travel trip. Another element of my perfect day is fun, something fun. I want to laugh loud and hard, and like guttural. Like our house is, you probably already know this, it's very loud, full of laughter, full of love, full of fun. Me and your daddy can't take each other seriously too much. So I that is what a perfect day is, just laughing and loving. And love, hugs, kisses, love from my friends, love from my community, my online community, love from somebody that just hit me up and is like, oh, I thought about you and here's this. Like, that's a perfect day. Okay, this might be the longest episode yet, but it's still under an hour. It's still under an hour. So I feel good. I'm happy to be talking to you, and I'm grateful to have gotten that out, and I look forward to our next episode. All right. I love you, darling, and I can't wait to talk to you. Bye.